ja nicht so ganz, wie das alles unter einen Hut gehen soll. Ich würde sagen, es wird aktuell ein Spieler deutlich besser als der Rest. Ja. Joey. Oder Keen. Keen ist deutlich besser. Keen ist for sure der beste Toplaner. Und das ist nicht close. LS, das ist Prime League. Alles, was der LS/GS war Prime League. Die rot markierten sind EMEA Masters Tage und alles, was rot markiert ist, ist LEC. Planst du das selbst? Na, das ist aber Liga-Schedule. Das ist Liga-Schedule. So, was haben wir offen? Wir haben Nocturne raus, Rice raus. Ich glaube, LYON würde jetzt mit hoher Prio noch Talia spielen hier. Yunara ist aber auch offen.
LYON, I think, will scale the risk of their draft based off of how strong they think the opponent is.
BDD ist nicht der zweitbeste Mitte der Welt. Nein, ist der. Ich glaube, Knight ist der zweitbeste. Rein individuell ist, glaube ich, Knight der zweitbeste Mitte der Welt.
So they found a way to equalize that advantage. Whereas if LYON just thinks that they're stronger across the board than Sentinels, I think we're going to see
würde ich so einen Raum stellen.
standard drafts across the board from Sentinels, and they hopefully save their curveballs for the finals tomorrow against them.
Nico First Pick, okay. Geben wir besser Vi ab. Potenziell. Mit reinigten Bann. Das heißt, Dokla müsste Gwen spielen dann. So was in die Richtung.
Yeah, that Ornn, is it a jungler?
Exactly, right? Like, you really do have to think about that, and I think that is very, very cool. Pick Teemo, I think you're in for some bad times if you're hoping for the Teemo pick. But Nico got picked, and we do have Ashe, which probably means Ashe Seraphine for Sentinels, which, of course, it was banned out in the second phase.
Ashe Seraphine.
Is open here. Man, Ashe Seraphine just
Das heißt, sie gehen Jhin wahrscheinlich als Antwort.
I love anytime a team.
Und ich weiß nicht, ob ich das mag.
Was locked in, so that definitely opens them up to be able to play it. They were able to win with this in their series against DSG. They just scaled.
Ja, ich glaube, die gehen Jhin.
I'm really curious on your take on this because I always think it's
Mag ich nicht so sehr.
there is something that in the meta is objectively strong.
Wieso, was wird geschehen, dass es eins gibt? Also, schau dir hier in dem Video die ersten paar Minuten an.
People think about Team Liquid when Core's not engaged and like, they don't look good with Core and
Die ersten 3 Minuten oder sowas, glaube ich.
He's a great enchanter player, but TL kind of needs him to engage.
Am besser weiß 6 auf 4. Wow, warte mal. Ja, sie gehen Jhin. Sie gehen am besser. Ich werde überlegen, ob ich Vi nicht mehr mag. Statt am besser.
I'd also say that the meta is moving heavily towards enchanters though, so you just kind of have to do it, especially when stuff like this is up, because if they're trying to pick, let's say he locks Alistar into an already strong Nico when Berserker Isles is already slamming them in lane, you're just losing the game that way anyway, so picking the Ashe Seraphine at least is an attempt to give them a lane to play through.
And we'll see if that can be successful. Definitely want to see them have a little bit more engaged tools here. Of course, the Ashe does give you something from the bot lane. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, nice to try to start out fights, as we have Dokla likely to be playing the Mbessa, but of course it could be flexed to Inspired. That is something that they did really well, flexing between top and jungle yesterday. Wukong coming through, though, for Hombox. So Sentinels already way more standard engaged tools, way more team fight focused. Wukong goes in, you encore off of him, that flies in the back line, you have the arrow to start things out as well.
Beautiful.
Wukong auf 3 finde ich okay. Ich weiß, ob sie sollten vibern wahrscheinlich, oder? Ich glaube, Sentinel sollte definitiv noch vibern.
I'd say more unique than other mid laners in the league in the sense that, like, Hui is likely coming down in every best of 5. You're usually going to see him on Victor. Maybe he pulls out the Veigar. So he has his own pocket of mages, control mages, but a lot of times they want to protect him in bans from things like Akali.
Yeah, absolutely. That is his comfort, but
Sie bannen nicht Vi.
Because, I liked when he brought out the Veigar.
Ja, Standardantwort wäre jetzt hier Talia Vi, ne? Ganz klar, Talia Vi. Das wäre hier Standardrotation, jetzt 4-5. Mal sehen. Auch mit Rice gebannt. Talia Vi würde sehr hart gehen hier. Dann würde die Comp sehr viel Sinn ergeben.
Of course, we haven't seen Sion or anything like that just yet, so Impact can always go towards comfort there. But Impact in general has been...
Oh, Talia ist out. Never mind.
So far this split.
Galio. Galio Vi.
The tank guy. But when you look at champions played, he is one of the deepest champion pools so far this split of any top laner in the league.
He's played 12 champions
Dann Vi Galio.
in the 16 games that they played. And Dokla, after last series playing Varus, Aurelia.
Weil ihr sollt Mitte blind picken. Ja, pick Galio. Weil Galio geht hart hier.
And it just goes to show that the preconceived feelings you have about these players coming in 2026 can definitely change. And they set up all those bans to lock in the Syndrome.
Am besten Jungle, ich glaube, ich weiß nicht, ob er sie spielt. Actually, wenn ich drüber nachdenke, ich weiß nicht, ob er sie spielt. Die könnten auch Aurora gehen. Okay, weil Aurora oder Galio sehe ich. Oh, Maokai kommt. Bitte, ich bin schon ein bisschen...
The only AD mid laner that is really being played, period. Everything else is an AP mid laner. So now
Pick Maokai, bitte.
we are either going to get, some sort of interesting AP jungle.
Oder Schwein. Schwein oder Maokai, aber sei Base und pick Maokai, bitte.
Could of course just go full physical and say who cares, but then Zonias and Tabbies and all these sorts of things do get a lot of value. So there is some risk to doing that.
Yeah, could leave the door open for Inspired to play something really fun, or I mean,
wieder Malphite.
Damage. I wouldn't call it fun.
Yeah, I mean, my worry for LYON is, yes, Ambessa is a good matchup into something like a Scion, but if he just goes Scion and he gets to a certain point in a team fight, you can't hurt him. You have
I mean, ich sehe es aber, du willst halt das Team sein, das First Engaged, ne? Ich glaube, du willst das Team sein, das First Engaged. Ansonsten, wenn du gegen das hier nicht First Engaged bist, du doomed. Wenn es ziemlich gut hier. Ich mag die Sentinels Draft hier schon deutlich mehr. Jax ist... Rechne ich nicht mal.
The amount of dive there is crazy. So the Jax as an answer here, better matchup to the
mag den Sentinels Draft deutlich mehr.
Counter engage, if you're all trying to dive in, you throw down the counter strike, you maybe get a lot of damage out and turn around and fight.
And I'm definitely going to trust Impact on whether or not it's a worthy Scion angle. I feel like the Scion into Ambessa and Yone is just going to give them no push in either of the side lanes, and then Syndra being low mobility against all that engage also wouldn't be able to touch the side lane. So that's why I feel like Impact is compelled to pick Jax here, because it can actually do well into both of those and give them something to play off of. Otherwise, I feel like it would be
türkische AD Carries guckt.
where they're just down 5,000
Das ist das Problem.
for the third Drake. So
Türkei AD Carry is so bad.
hard to kill. They just wouldn't have a way of playing the map, which is why I like the Jax pick.
This is an interesting game because
Also wirklich, die türkische AD Carries sind
who engages first.
non-existent.
Malphite starts off the fight and hits an ultimate on the Syndra or the Ashe. You're probably already cooked because the follow-up there from these melee solo laners is going to be devastating. They're probably one-shot. But by the same token, if you hit an Ashe arrow on a Yone or an Ambessa or this Jhin or the Nico, or you hit that Cyclone engage on any of them, followed by a Scatter.
Holy Phoenix? Nee, es ist wahrscheinlich Kaori, aber es ist halt bad. Die kommt von Line ist tausendmal besser. Ich finde die kommt von Sentinels hier sehr vermarktbar. Mal sehen. Kannst du da irgendwann was reißen, bestimmt.
A very explosive game, and I'm giving a slight edge to Sentinels here in the draft phase because I feel like they have more engaged tools. I think they have better scaling, and they have more champions that if this thing gets going, it's going to be very hard for LYON to answer. So I think if Impact or Hambach get a lot of gold, they're going to run over this game with what they're able to accomplish.
Mal schauen, wie Bot dann läuft. Ich glaube, dieses Matchup sollte super hell sein. Top 10 Länder, Bro. Nee, habe ich keinen Bock drauf. Korea, China.
High CDR builds. Oh god, this is not good for Darkwings at all. He just lost half his health.
Range champion. I feel like.
Und dann Europa, wenn du das sehen willst. Frankreich, Spanien, Deutschland, irgendwie sowas.
Just got walked down completely there by Saint.
Und I guess Türkei, wenn du das noch mit reinziehen möchtest.
Kind of just stayed on him, just auto-attacking him. You got to be careful about keeping that range.
Taiwan, keine Ahnung, wer da im Line-Up sein sollte.
Is standing by with Golden Glue. Golden Glue, what happened at the end of that game?
They're asking what happened.
I don't actually know. I saw that, I was like, wait, are we on red side or blue side? When I saw them walking mid, it was a little oopsie, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's going okay now.
One of the things you kind of brought up, jokingly but also seriously, right, in your interview with Dokla last time, is your team's ability to learn from mistakes. And I really appreciated how they hung in last game. So what was your advice to them after the game on loss?
Honestly, that last game was one of the weirdest games I've ever watched because we're down like 5 or 6k gold, but then we're walking up to the dragons and just like going on them. So, I mean, I think the thing I told them is it looked like we were running a teamfight drill where we gave the enemy 1,000 gold plus on every character, and then we just fought dragons.
Du kannst auch ab 0 Uhr Moor ballern, ja.
So I feel like this game we just need to have a bit more of a solid early game, and then we have seems like more aura on the team.
Aber du kannst auf Nummer sicher gehen und dann bis morgen früh warten.
And then this
Außer es ist halt super dringend, weil der Rabattcode geht bis... Der Rabattcode geht, also die Aktion geht quasi bis Mitternacht morgen. Nee, ist auch gut, aber... Mal sehen. Botlane gewinnt. Seraphin verliert den Lane.
Alright, you heard it here first. Engage first. Back to you, casters.
Love to hear Golden Glue right there, and I agree with engaging first. And there's so many tools to engage first from both teams, but that all does get set up by who can win the lanes. And during that interview, everyone used all their help. So every lane is playing extremely aggressive already in this early game as well.
Yeah, they really are. It's been a lot of trading back and forth, some early bases coming through on the bot side. You can see that Berserker and Niles both went back and got that refillable potion, plus the Cull grabbed there for Berserker. And who he can be able to grab an early tier, as you always want to do on Seraphine. The scaling,
ja, lohnt sich nicht dahin zu gehen.
Powerful on this champion as long as you have enough mana to stay in the fights. And Inspired actually canceled his base, so they're thinking there is a potential angle here. Counter-Strike going forward from Impact is going to be able to find Doke.
Big Dokes, du stirbst ja jetzt endlich, ne? Ja.
Just kind of too far away, and now in comes.
Oh, sie kriegen den Flash.
Get the bad news here. Rahel on the run. The four-shot
Was?
comes through. He just gets deleted.
What the fuck?
Did not flash anything and just goes down.
A little surprised that he didn't burn flash. He actually pressed to the
Wow.
like right
Electrocute, Fourth Shot und eine Nico Q. Oder? Muss gewesen sein. Electrocute, Fourth Shot plus Nico Q. Alles auf einmal.
I mean, credit to Inspired, great pathing. Top lane is getting very spicy. Impact going to be able to pop the counter.
Dokes.
There lands a stun, but Dokes back into the brush right as it landed, flashing forward. Impact flashes
Dokes.
back. The wave is in such a bad spot, though. Impact knows he's in trouble. Doku's going to go for the kill, jumps forward, knocks him down. That's a solo bolo for...
Come on, no. Lock in, buddy. Big fucking Dokes.
Wow, top kill. Top
Big fucking Dokes. Come on now.
And that's after absorbing the pressure from Hombok's appearance up top lane.
Fuck yeah.
Impact has his counter pick here. Jax into Ambessa still ends up falling. Just watching this one more time, there's always that game of chicken with Counter-Strike playing in the wave as Ambessa manages to fly into the bush so Impact can't follow up. And at this point, Impact is just in a bad spot. He wants to get the wave in, but Dokla just plays around his cooldowns. And at this point, I just
Geil von Dokla auch.
Impact might be waiting on his Counter-Strike, but I feel like it was so far away.
It's really far away.
It's just foolish there.
That's you, Dokla?
Unfazed. He feels nothing until...
Wen schieben wir für Line?
At least the support hypes him up.
Yeah, I mean, that was Impact getting really greedy. Counter-Strike is a really long cooldown at rank 1.
Yeah, it's 6 seconds left on the cooldown.
Yeah.
He has no trinket to jump to. It's just not respecting Dokla's ability to just all in him.
I mean, that is one of the scary things about laning against Ambessa. Ambessa always has a dash up. Everything that Ambessa does is dash, right? So you have to pay respect to that. He did not, and he gets punished very heavily. He's going to jump forward now. Dokla just jumping backwards, kiting it out. Dokla's wave in a little bit of an awkward spot, so he's going to go...
Was dein Favorite LCS Team? C9.
Seeing if there
C9 is my favorite LCS
to
team.
eat up and try to heal through that. This wave eventually is going to on the other side. Sentinels playing for the scuttle here. Hombok
Morgen Premier für den Dokla Downfall natürlich. Morgen Dokla gegen Thanos. Jedes Game soll er ihn feeden.
The bot lane from Inspired as well. 15 CS lead. I had to go back and check. I'm still perplexed by that Impact death. He wasn't even close to level 6 either.
No.
So just an absolute misplay there. Is up in CS though with the way the waves have ended up bouncing, so it's only 100 gold. Won't actually matter that much for the matchup.
Toby and I were talking about this yesterday. It's one of those top lane things, you know. Sometimes the waves getting frozen on you. If I die, I die. You just gotta...
Ruhiges Game bisher, Level 6 auf Malphite.
Frozen, so,
Gerade auf Mitte. Mindestens Flash weg. What the fuck? Saint? Okay. Nimm den Kill. Hat er sich nicht verdient mit der Ulti. Fair enough. Nimm den Kill. Wer ist hinein dein Favorit, wenn Sven wechselt? Nö. Saint Redemption hat 100%. 100%.
Don't even have to land the Yone ultimate. I mean, he ulted a little bit behind him too, so he
100%, ja.
flashes the Malphite ult. Maybe he still gets chunked, then he's dead to the next one. So if that's a precursor to how this game's going to go for Darkwings, it's not going to be a fun one.
No, know. I mean, if that's a precursor to how this game is going to go for Sentinels, it's not going to be a fun one. They're already down almost 2K gold here at 7 minutes. It is looking rough already, as there is gold advantages in every single lane right now across the board for LYON. They are creating the edge, and you know, I said it in draft, Golden Glue said it in the interview, it's about who engages first, and when you are far ahead, it is very easy to take space and be the one starting off the fight here. So Sentinels, we'll see if they can try to find a way to kind of inch their way back in, but I mean, we're held down 20 CS right now. Sentinels are at least looking for this dragon, and it seems like it probably will go their way. Inspired is level 7, but has no ulti.
Yeah, Inspired has definitely not been the player to force early dragons in any type of possibly losing situations. Like, whether it's his time on EG, his time on FlyQuest, whenever I've seen him in NA, his teams will actually just let dragons go, even though every other team seems really intent on going for them. But they're in a good spot, 2000 gold up, he had no ultimate.
Und das ist sehr smart, ne? Also nicht mal den Gedanken daran zu verschwenden, quasi zu contesten, wenn du nicht in der Position bist, in der du contesten solltest, kannst.
It's okay. Just keep farming that gold, keep creating those advantages.
Yeah, but LYON in general has
Brauchen wir doch Inspired statt Blabber bei SEN. Ich muss mich zurückhalten. Ich bin zu irrigiert.
They won week 1 against Dignitas, dropped to C9,
Kann ich nicht drüber nachdenken oder sowas.
lost to DSG when most of people jumped off the LYON train, but then with their 3-0 of FlyQuest and their 3-1 of TL have poisoned.
Denkst du, er kriegt easy deinen Playstyle? 100%.
So it just took a little bit.
Ich glaube, der zwingt die halt dazu, ne? Weil, also, das ist, okay, ich habe gehört, dass wenn du mit Canyon in Solo-Queue zum Beispiel spielst, Full cleart er ja nur. Also er ist ja auch der CEO von Full Clear. Und wenn du ihn pingst quasi nach einem Gank, dann pingt er dich einmal zurück und dann full mutet er sich. Und ich glaube, du musst halt adaptieren, weil der wird sein Playstyle nicht ändern. Aber er spielt ja auch richtig. Das heißt, du spielst entweder du adaptierst oder du verlierst halt. Das ist besser Blabber oder Razok.
Whenever I hear focus on early game, I don't know exactly what that is. Like, try really hard in lane. Like, it's the hardest thing to train as a player. Like, yeah, Chovy, just work on your early game. Like, it's just how do you specifically do that? I understand that it works.
Don't miss CS and win the lane, chat. It's simple.
I understand. Just prioritize like team fighting a little bit less, or like Drake setups, and more about how we specifically want to team up in the early game. But speaking of strength of schedule, Sentinels has kind of had the opposite road of LYON, as we actually see a gank coming in the top lane.
Yeah, Hombach is going to be spotted. Will they be able to chase Dokla down?
Was er Malphite? Ja.
Doesn't even need to use it, and now he's going to go back.
Schöne Combo.
It's the combo on to Impact.
Nice.
And he falls again in a hurry. It's a rock to the face as LYON go up 4-0.
Sentinels isn't even getting to Flash. If Impact had flashed that original Ambessa ult, maybe he could have lived through that, but because it connects, Inspired Dokla link up for another one. And just like we said, if Impact Hombach get ahead in this game, it could be one-sided. Well, same can be true for Dokla Inspired. Eclipse completed, Inspired well on his way to another strong Malphite game.
Yeah, looking really, really good. And as you said, you just have to flash the initial part. If you flash the public execution, I don't think Inspired ever gets in range, and I don't even think they try it, right? Because then Dokla doesn't close the gap either, so Inspired wouldn't want to just go into 1v2. And if he did, Hombach can maybe cycle on him, he could turn it around. But Sentinel solo laners being unable to flash that, let's be honest, when you're playing on 0 ping at a pro level, that is just kind of a requirement. When you're playing against Malphite, you have to be able to flash the ulti, or you are going to be in a lot of trouble. It's just, this champion is so powerful.
Dieses Line auf einmal gut, wow, individuell einfach gut.
Ability that is so powerful. So if you're able to flash it, you can generally win those fights.
Absolutely, and now it's a 800 gold lead.
Individuell gut und bekommen ihr Spiel halt einfach gut hin. Schöner Arrow.
Gets the kill thanks to the long-range arrow there from Rahel. Really well done by Sentinels to get one back.
Boys, those don't land often, but when they do, they almost always lead to kills. Saint does not flash that arrow either. Definitely had like a nice path over the Fog of War, so he didn't have great visibility on it. Crazy, Saint was amazing in the Fog of War game where you had to flash Nidalee Spears to beat all the other LCS pros. Couldn't flash the big Nidalee Spear there in the Nash arrow.
The Dokla.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh, Inspired is here again.
Schön. Das ist sehr krank.
Like he's wishing he played Sion.
Yeah, Sion, if you're going to be down 0-3-0, Sion's a way better pick.
I mean, Jax is going to be useless this game. This is going to be really tough, I think, to problem solve for Sentinels when they are this far down. So they're going to send Darkwings top. But Darkwing's extremely vulnerable to this as well. And in goes Dokla. He's going to look for him with the public execution.
Sebi, danke schön für den 17. Bin wir öfters da? Ja, grüß Gott. Boah, die werden durchgestompt ohne Ende, Mann. Die werden so durchgestompt.
Gets the shutdown there. That is nice, but on the other side, it's a big fight coming out, and is Rahel getting knocked down? It's LYON winning out.
Wie hoch ist die Wahrscheinlichkeit für einen River Sweep? 0%.
The individual play from the
0%.
LYON solo laners has been a difference in this game too, and the Dokla glow up is insane. These last two series, the counter picks against Morgan, and now this game against Impact, effectively 2 solo kills. The first solo kill on Impact puts Impact again in the bad position where Inspired can execute, and then gets another one onto Darkwings. He is playing incredible League of Legends right now.
He really is, and even that dive is able to be pulled off because Impact is at 15-20% HP. Like, he is already so low.
Look, half health Jax at level 9 just doesn't want to reset. He has no TP. He's like, the game is over. I'm going to cheat it. Oh no, here's Malphite. It's too late. Another one of those situations where you don't want to recall, but then you should have recalled anyway because now it goes from bad to worse. And then Darkwings just not respecting Ambess here, level 10 to level 11.
Platze darauf. Nope.
To get that original
schöne Ulti von Dokla.
kill. And then, as you mentioned, every skill is a dash, so you can chase that Cinder down.
And I mean, what's brutal for Darkwing?
Was ist LYON-Äquivalent?
Ultimate there from Dokla, buffered for the week.
Yeah.
That is the only disengaged tool you have for the Ambessa. So
Okay,
when that's immune by the gap closer, you are just absolutely dead. There's nothing you can really do.
MK stinkt nach Pisse.
And LYON now going to be able to even up the Dragon score here. 3K is the advantage. They're not completely out of this just yet. I mean,
Doch kein 100%, was ich würde niemals Glatze wetten.
Both bot and top are such a disaster in this game that it is going to be really, really tough. And Inspired working quickly towards his second item will have a ton of CDR with the early Zeeks, and every item he's going to be buying is going to have CDR in it. So it's going to be very, very difficult.
12er Jungler auch in Solo-Queue und den kannst du spielen, ja. Ist machbar. Könnte Line gegen G2 gewinnen, ich weiß es nicht, Geist. Ich hab's gesagt, ich kann es nicht einschätzen. Lass bis du First und warten. Das ist ja schon in 2 Wochen. Ich kann es dieses Mal wirklich nicht einschätzen. Ich möchte es auch nicht. Willst du auf Barter wetten? Auch nicht, nein. Barter bis hier 5000 Subs teuer.
It takes so long to kill him, so he can ult pretty much anywhere he wants. And LYON's a minion. They see him now.
Darkwing's going to be able to land the scatter. The encore comes through. He's charmed up on the other
Das macht
side.
Isles.
It's going to be Hombach on the run with the Cyclone trying to get out. They do get 1 kill. Now they go for the disengage. And they're trying to find Inspired. He is very tanky, though, and he's just going to ult right back in onto the head of Hombach, and he is knocked down. Darkwings, though, wants to try to find more. Won't really be able to get it. At the end of the day, it is the 1-for-1 trade. Isles for Hombach.
Yeah, I meant to say Isles is a minion, not LYON is a minion. But even if you're a minion in the jungle, when you walk over Control Ward, it's pretty obvious who you are. And he was a bit early on that play before Inspired could join up.
Toplane ist so fucking cooked.
They still end up getting
2 Level Lead, obwohl Quest fertig ist.
And Dokla stays isolated in this top lane against Impact, where he's
Ganz schnelle Sache heute. Perfekt.
Exactly, just constantly harassing him. Every time he has that W up for the shield, you just kind of go in, you chunk him under the tower, use the W to absorb that turret shot. And that is why Ambessa can be so oppressive from ahead, constantly harassing you under your tower. You can see that Isles is up towards that top side. Now, does have that rocket belt and is going to be able to stop the recall there of Impact, who is just having a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a two-level advantage. Dokla is consistently pulling that top lane wave, so it will aggro and threaten a freeze against.
Machen jetzt morgen weiter, 9 Uhr, LCK-Finale.
Actually goes back. Dokla will quickly shove it, and then.
Wieso ist der Anker 1,6 K spielt gut.
So not only is he crushing him in gold, he's also denying him a large amount of experience. And Isles
Guter
just has no
Cancel.
reason to leave, right? It's 3 interrupts now from the Nico onto Impact's recall.
Wie weit würde Line kommen in der LCS mit Razorgar Jungle? Eher die Frage.
Yeah, they can't really answer much of anything. Darkwing's going to be sent up here as well, but we know he's not safe by himself, and the tower is too low, so you can't even approach, because Dokla will just kill it, then
I
kill
plead the
you.
5th.
Now he's going to try to walk up here, but Dokla is up 2 levels.
Wer ist denn der Favorit zu gewinnen? Well, ist C9 oder Lion?
At this point,
I don't know, ich hätte jetzt vor dieser Woche gesagt, Lion ist C9, aber Lion sieht sehr gut aus. Ich weiß es nicht, ich weiß es nicht. Ich glaube immer noch C9, aber C9 sieht sehr gut aus.
Crazy counterpicks yesterday.
So, und ich weiß, also, ich glaube, Thanatos wird Dokla Hops nehmen. Geiles Basic von Saint. Nein, der hat sein Unbeatable nicht Unbeatable, aber ich bin sehr gut.
Is going to be the disengage, so Sentinels at least do not get picked off, but there's 4 members from their team down here to just create a stalemate where Berserker is still pushing mid.
Yeah, should be a bigger gold advantage here for LYON. They recognize that everyone from Sentinels move bot lane, and Berserker is able to just take down that crystalline overgrowth. And in terms of Inspired's ultimate, it's already half the way back, so he can look for another.
Wieso ist bei Line Geld?
Jumping forward and cloning back is just kind of sidestepping back and forth here, but not
Geld und Entscheidungskraft.
fine to play. Rahel does not have an arrow, of course, as he used it down on that bottom side, and Inspired nearly has his own ultimate back.
Ja, du, morgen sollte sehr knapp sein. Morgen sollte sehr, sehr knapp sein, ja.
They won't be able to get there. Inspired finishes that off, but Hambach skirmishing back and forth with them.
I mean, Dokla's 2 levels ahead of any solo laner on the side of Sentinels. Sentinels is just, again, playing this 1-3-1 and really just trying to waste as much time from Sentinels when they are grouped up. Since they're winning on both sides, they're okay just holding this 1-3-1 and waiting for Inspired's ultimate to be back up, which it is, and he's looking for another play on. Look, a flashless Syndra with no turret.
Schön.
No shot, unstoppable force, and he
So clean. Also so clean, aber auch so simpel, ne?
that easy. Need arrive, say high five, guys. Nice hustle up here. A little bit of encouragement. I was here too.
Honestly, he shouldn't have done that, because now Jax gets a little bit of gold. If they would have just kept the 1-3-1 elsewhere, there's no way for them to come back. So now it's actually Dokla who's going to have to trade waves. You're going to have to switch the sides of the map, go bot lane and stop Impact from getting too much gold.
Isles again just harassing them as they're trying to walk in. Dokla hunting for Impact, but he's going to be in a pretty sneaky spot. Sentinels at least do push them back, and Impact TP's in. So now they're going to try to make a play happen here because of that teleport misstep from Saint. He goes top.
Beste Jungle West, Inspired und ist nicht los.
Which is something at the very least for Sentinels, but still, they're down 5k here once again, and next game, they don't even have the Dragon advantage.
Yeah, let's watch this one more time. It's very simple. Gets the flash with his ultimate early, says, hey, buddy, no flash top. And it's just free. If Darkwing's not allowed to be here, but because Dokla has been freezing the waves so consistently, Darkwings feels compelled to break the freeze.
War also gut, ja.
I TP.
No, why you TP, bro?
Oh, Shiba, you say you.
I asked if they have TP.
Ah, it's fine,
We have
guys.
to do Herald
Take
now,
top,
yes?
take top.
Guck mal, wie er guck mal, er wird so micromanaged.
TP'd. Misunderstanding there. He said, I asked if they have
Ohne drüber nachzudenken. By the way, guck mal, ohne drüber nachzudenken. Der Goat sagt was, du folgst. Instant TP.
As they clearly are getting way better at communication week over week. I also like that Inspired uses this kind of Malphite trick where when you're ulting over the wall, you can get these really fast Malphite ults. It actually
Wirklich, als ob Gott mit dir redet, no joke.
makes it a lot harder to react from. So
Als ob Gott mit dir redet, da wird nicht hinterfragt.
it is very tough to react to because he's coming out of fog and he's going super fast. So that is nice to see from Inspired. Always looking for these little optimizations. As Saint and Isles are up here, and Darkwings, you got no tower, buddy. The fate is sealed. Not going to find him. We'll see if he can actually get.
What the fuck, was macht ihr? Ihr Animals. Top 3, Skimont noch und gut, das war Bums. Alter, es ist low. Schade, dass wir kein TP haben.
Bit of a funny fight, but at the end of the day, it's Big Dokes coming out on top once
Big
again.
fucking Dokes. 3 Level ahead.
A crazy sequence there. It doesn't matter when you have a 6,000 gold lead, you miss all their ultimates, but Big Dokes still's got your back, gets a solo kill in the bottom lane as Sentinels try to get a little bit mid lane with a mild numbers advantage.
Arrow. No, connect.
Inspired doesn't have ult, but wants to hold this turret as Doku's getting fed in this game.
Du, wie hate Inspire und Saint? Nö, Berserker ist auch gut. Dokla und Isles sind auch fein. Checkt ihr, die sind auch fein so, aber ja.
4,000 gold up individually at 21 minutes. That is just, what are you gonna do?
It's just the way they're playing side lanes. Like, Yone is constantly here, Ambessa is constantly there. It's just so impressive the way that they're playing this.
Yeah, they are playing incredibly well. The macro game heavily in their favor. And of course, when you have these massive solo lane advantages, no one can 1v1 Dokla, so you always have to have someone hovering him.
Hier wird nicht viel gebasht. Ja, ja.
Everything on the other side of the map. So
yep.
Get checkmated a little bit unless LYON makes mistakes, and they just aren't really making any of those big errors
And it's funny, the only mistake they did make
Hier wird nicht
was
gebasht.
teleporting
Das ist richtig.
and inspired clearly said Vod UTP to the right, or it wasn't even a
Ein Glücksspielchen, nein, das morgen.
extra teleport. And it's like Sentinels is waiting for these little mistakes. It's just
Ich habe morgen außerdem Großes vor. Und 2-3 Red Bull. Ich habe Großes vor morgen. Ich hab so Bock auch, ihr checkt nicht.
If you're on their side, they'll freeze, and as long as they don't get picked off as level 16 Dokla, he can give a lot of experience.
Gewinnt sie 9 gegen 9? Ich kann es ja nicht sagen. Honestly, ich kann es ja nicht sagen. Ich glaube schon. Aber ich glaube, das wird morgen eine sehr, sehr close Series. Morgen LEC und LCK, LDC, LCK und LCS. Wow, ist der OP. Wow, ist der OP und wow, ist der disgusting. 700 LP. 700 Gold. Neues Auto Red Bull hat dabei schon 2 heute leer gemacht. Was denkst du, warum ich so viel rede? Oder nicht komplett Crash-Out bin?
Over Saint, and the catch-up experience goes hard there. That was a level 18 Ambessa, so extra experience for everyone who was around that kill. It's not going to make up for the game of advantages they've built, but that's a pretty big kill for Sentinels to get.
It is. Still
Red Bull sponsert, nein, das wär der beste Tag meines Lebens.
Itemization versus this itemization, which is not looking so hot.
Das oder, nee, Paulana Spezi wäre Paulana wäre bester Tag meines Lebens. Red Bull wäre sehr, sehr, sehr gut. Verbinden bis zu morgen für C9.
It is looking very, very tough there for Impact to be relevant this game, but he is at least going to knock down that tower, so gets a small injection of gold. They have caught it back from 4.1k to 3.5, so that's something for them. And they do
Meinst du da Red Bull?
And the other team has a lot of squishy members.
Ich finde es eine neue Sorte, lecker, aber süß. So, muss man mögen. Man muss dieses Level an süß mögen. Ich habe noch nicht die mit Zucker probiert. Ich habe nur ohne Zucker probiert. Wie viele Kisten ist ja im Monat? So eine pro Woche. Boys, danke für den 8. Dankeschön. Und Joe danke für den 3., wenn ich es nicht gesagt habe. Ich weiß nicht. Danke.
So, from that lens, you can have a little bit of hope from Sentinels. But this is the thing, right? Like, Dokla has 3 solo kills this game. He had 1 solo kill weeks 1 to 5. The 1 solo kill was the Varus into the Renekton yesterday. So very impressive game so far from Big Dokes.
And it was really interesting because, you know, if you remember back at Worlds, obviously he was doing the vlogs, but he was popping off in game 2. He was getting solo kills. He was looking so good as they're going to look for an arrow. Nice sidestep from Dokla. Sees it coming. Dashes to the side. Clean mechanics. But Dokla came out of last year on such a high. And then it looked like Dokla's not even going to have a team because Zamudo was the intended starting top laner for LYON. Then Dokla does get a team. Doesn't really have a great individual performance in the early weeks, but now last week, this week, he is looking so good.
Hallo Duda, danke für den Prime. Dankeschön. Mit wem ist der Line-Top-Laner vergleichbar? Boah, Big Dogs kann man nicht so leicht vergleichen. Glaubst du, er ist Joint Team? Nein, er sollte niemals ein Team joinen.
While Yone solos the Drake, now they can just move down to make sure they secure it with the smite.
Hätte gedacht, dass Impact besser ist als Dokla. Dann schaust du wirklich nicht sehr viel.
Every team passed him over. A lot of them thought they had a better solution, or they already had a player on the roster. For instance, like FlyQuest had Gat from last year, so they wanted to give him a chance. But Team Liquid clearly opted to sign Morgan instead of Dokla. Zamudo would have been another one where they had committed to him last year, so wanted to give him a chance. But with the visa complications, it makes sense to bring in Dokla. Even with all that being said, it must be incredibly satisfying for Dokla to be popping off the way he is here in the playoffs. 2 games away from going into the finals.
Ist der Berserker, der bei DNS war? Yep, ist der.
2 splits in a row now, where no team wanted him at the start of the
Bei Paychecks wieder? Nö, ich glaube also letztes Jahr war rough, letztes Jahr war super rough, ich glaube dieses Jahr ist es okay. Also dieses Jahr ist deutlich besser als letztes Jahr. Letztes Jahr war es sehr hart. HK, danke für den 4. Dankeschön. Hatte Line nicht eigentlich einen anderen Topliner? Zamudo, ja. Bist du eher Fnatic oder C9-Fan? C9.
But came back up, you know, won a title with energy, you know, has had some really good performances, even, you know, representing himself well internationally. And even, you know, kind of from the like content aspect, you know, I remember when he came back in last year, him talking about how he felt like he went about being a pro wrong. He didn't care about content and interviews and being entertaining and doing this stuff in the past, and how he was telling me he really wanted to do both this time around, and seeing that as an important part of being a pro, an important part of having a successful ecosystem, you know, is being these brands and being these players that people are interested in watching and think are fun and funny. And I think he's just done such a fantastic job on all accounts.
Yeah, we appreciate it. On his off day last week, that would have been a rest day for the rest of LYON. He came.
Wie kommst du Sympathie gegenüber C9? Ich bin sehr gut mit Sven befreundet.
also did pro. So shout out to Dokla.
Ich glaube, die besten EL-Teams könnten in der LC mitspielen. Also, was heißt mitspielen? Also, sie könnten auf jeden Fall auf die Stage gehen in die Woche, ja.
Aside from the Drake stacking being in Lion's favor, so even a little bit more one-sided.
Gibt ein paar Roster, aber ich glaube, weder G2 Nord noch 1 würden da viel machen, außer gefistet werden. Sprich 10. Wort Englisch, ich hoffe nicht.
Inspired is level 16 now, so very powerful, unstoppable force on a very short cooldown.
Geil, Engage. Er ist zu tanky, naja, er hat auch die Harness noch fertig. Gut, Nash-Start. Nash-Start und dann vielleicht nochmal Turn, wir haben noch ein besser Ulti ab. Gut.
That Malphite is an absolute unit. He just ults in and the only follow-up in range is a Jhin ult. And by the way, that's completely enough. Now 4v5, they need to zone out Hambach to secure this Baron.
Humbug's looking pretty zoned out, but they are going to teleport in impact. Saint going over the wall. We'll see if he can find something. The arrow's going to connect on the side. But
Macht kein Damage, ne? Geil von Saint auch.
Seraphine is gone in a hurry.
Wow, Dokes. Fühlt's aber sehr.
Dokla just fighting past impact,
Fühlt's,
looking for Humbug,
also.
trying to knock him down. Rahel, though, going to be able to knock down Dokla's Inspired, claims the Baron. Saint going to be able to push forward and get one more. LYON crushing this game, 13-5. They've got the Baron, 6.5k gold lead, and Soul is in a minute 40.
Nice killer instinct there by LYON. Everyone actually leaves the pit, and a smiteless Malphite is left inside to finish the Baron, but it's the right play. They annihilate not everyone, but effectively.
Das war das einfach Jungle-Ding seit, ich würde sagen, so 6, 7 Patches, als sie ihn gebufft haben. Für Jungle, die haben ihn quasi auf seinem W. Und der W macht doppelt den Damage an Monstern. Inzwischen nicht mehr. Wurde genervt schon, aber ja, macht extra Damage an Monstern.
Yep, the Zeke slow as well as the Malphite shard there, slowing him down even more. Gets in the middle of all three and just knows, hey, I can look for these sort of.
Ich glaube, das ist irgendeiner aus dem Lost Sponsor Line, aber Waffe bekommen wir vielleicht. Sollten es aber nicht annehmen.
Even on this kind of more supportive style of jungler, he is keeping his farm incredibly high.
Eine Finale gegen Einspiel, wer gewinnt realistisch? Fnatic, guys.
Since he has been in NA, these are the teams he has been on. Nearly a 70% win rate in NA, 5 titles, 3 MVPs, 3 first-team All-Pros, and he's made it to 6 internationals. So has been completely dominant since making it into the league, and it felt like Blabber is trying to reclaim that throne from him this split. It was feeling like almost a sure thing for C9, but as LYON is getting better and better and better in the lower bracket, it is feeling less and less like a sure thing tomorrow if LYON makes it there against C9.
Absolutely, Hambach trying to get control of this Soul though. Inspired has ultimate again, he's looking for the angle.
Keine Ahnung, über mit deinem Homie.
Actually find it. Hambach struggling to get in. The curtain call is going to get ripped open here. Impact on the side. He needs to run. He's going to be able to hop back to his wards.
Holt mir für Flash? Nee, wir warten auf die Soul, okay.
To about half HP. Darkwings knows he needs to get into the team, but Isles finds him. Flash forward.
Guter Play.
There is the deadly flourish as well. Rudy
Guter Play.
Stasis, but Dokla is stacked on top of him, and he is going to get knocked down. It's a killing
Rachel, du machst keinen Damage, Homie.
Berserker. Rahel was peppering Inspired, but couldn't do any damage to him whatsoever, and it feels like the fight is already over. The soul is already given.
Looks like Rahel had a little pea shooter. He was trying to break either Inspired's rock solid shield or the Kanik shield, and he did neither. So I think that lowers their chances of winning, seeing that fight as well as the soul going over. It is looking very easy for the bruisers and tanks of LYON to go anywhere that they please. Hambach might look for an angle on Berserker here. They need to make some type of desperation play. Maybe a bit of a tempo trap here. You'd expect him to be back in base, but there's just no angle. Berserker's playing to the side very well.
And Inspired held his ult through that whole fight, so he still has it, right? And yeah, you can go for an engage here, but if you flash in, you're just getting ulted by Inspired. And he is just walking forward confidently, level 17.
Game 1 war so eine Piste und Game 1 war sehr komisch. Game 1 war sehr komisch.
Gonna see if he can find a long distance flank here. Impact back to base has the Seeker, so maybe they're gonna go for one more desperation play. But I think Inspired has sussed out where he is. He's looking for him with the sweeper, but stun comes in. The arrow connects as well. Great CC chain, but it's only onto Isles. They do knock down.
Warte mal.
Will that even matter? The Seeker's gonna get used.
Warte mal.
Back, trying to buy some time. Dokla looking to get on the run. Sentinels know they need more from this, but Inspired is not letting Hambach in. He's just pushing him out the side. You can't get past the rock.
Yeah, Inspired does a good job marking enemy jungler, but they do land enough CC onto Isles that Sentinels can at least push back that Baron. So the Baron power play will be done for as they go back to base with their soul and still have very healthy gold lead.
They are very far ahead. 8K, and you can say about 6K worth of stats from the soul. So that
100% sage über Radrock, disagree.
gold lead, if you want to talk about it as far as stats are concerned. Plus they have XP
Disagree.
advantages as well. It is rough, but at the very least, Sentinels do hold the base there. They get a kill. Yes, it's only on the support. And now Isles does have a Seekers on top of that Frozen Heart, so tons of CDR and a little bit of playmaking to boot.
Berserker, another solid game as well. 3-0-3, still deathless on the series. But back to your Inspired point with how dominant he's been in NA, I think the most impressive...
Machen wir einen Random Call von Out of the Box Toplane für nächstes Game, damit Sentinels eine Chance hat. Keen.
Plays like an inspired team.
Damit können sie anfangen.
EG,
Tag ist nicht bad, habe ich gesagt.
just come over and Danny and Jojo were on that team, did take some time, and it really felt like that was the NA Rookies team. But then also watching the way FlyQuest developed with their young players, Busio, Quad, Masu, and now this team, like we were talking about the series yesterday, Lion series yesterday, when they pulled out all these fun counter picks, they were flexing more, and we're like, drafting-wise, that's the last one that reminded us of that was the FlyQuest versus Gen G best of 5 at Worlds. But then even just like the slow control, the way they play here, feels so much like the FlyQuest that we saw last year. So that's the thing with Inspired, is he's
Der sollte nicht nach EU zurückgehen. Ergibt keinen Sinn, außer da gibt es irgendwie legit Millionenverträge wieder.
Strong opinions
Mit Gamble Money oder sowas.
And he's obviously very, very effective at teaching that methodology as well. You know, you mentioned it, Jojo and Danny leveled up tremendously playing with him. Busio, Masu leveled up tremendously playing with him, and now I think we're seeing that from Saint as well. Saint really has improved by leaps and bounds, playing with Inspired. It feels like he's way more on the same page, making way fewer mistakes than he had been in the early weeks.
And it's February 28th. Like, they're going to be together for 3 splits. You know, assuming that they don't tilt. Everyone's worried about the mental boom of the Inspired toxicity. But listen, winning clears all problems. It's only a problem once you start losing.
Winning.
If you keep winning, it's never going to be an issue. So,
if you go international, you just have to beat easy teams like Gen G and T1, you know, so just keep winning, no problem.
Hey, man, BNK Fearex, they're inexperienced too.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to happen.
Gen G, they're going to win. Everyone just accepts it.
Yeah, okay. Gen G, yeah, okay. Everyone else, maybe you have a chance. But Sentinels trying to hold on to this game. Of course, in desperation hours for quite a while now. It is 34 minutes in. It feels like LYON don't want to take any risks. They're just going to take the guaranteed plays. Now they are starting.
Willst du einen Gamble-Sponsor nehmen? Nee, ich lehne regelmäßig Gamble-Sponsoren ab.
Can he do anything about it? Going to take a pretty big chunk of damage there from Berserker, and Saint goes over the wall now looking for him, but he's going to try to find an engage of his own. The Counter-Strike won't find him.
Beziehungsweise wir antworten einfach nicht.
The question is, how do Sentinels get in? No one's actually walking forward. You're just kind of poking over the wall here. And slowly but surely, the Baron is getting lower and lower. Inspired can tank this thing forever.
Yeah, they're looking for a flank with Isles around the back.
Mein Planet will die Ownership verkaufen. Scuff, das fuck, Teamfight. Rotes Scuff, Teamfight. Okay, gehen auf Hamburg. Oh mein Gott, der hat den Nash bekommen. Gott sei Dank hat Saint den bekommen. Komischer Teamfight. So sehr komischer Teamfight.
Get the Baron, get the fight, and surely now on their way to get the game.
Actually pretty close for Hambach trying to get that steal. It ended up being Saint who gets it, probably with a Q. Again, though, Inspired holds his ult that entire time. Never needs to burn it. Still pretty long death timers and a lot of waves that LYON can push all at once.
Inspired just walking past the tower, zoning them off. Dokla is pushing top. Saint is pushing bot. Berserker is pushing mid. They are going for all 3 waves here. Even if they don't destroy the Nexus, they are looking to deal game-ending damage, and they're looking for Darkwing.
So verrückt, wie viel Damage Malphite macht, oder nicht? No joke. So dumm, wie viel Damage Malphite macht, oder nicht?
He goes on a killing spree as well as the inhibitor in bot falls. The inhibitor in mid about to join it, and the one top is not long for this world.
Dude, 3 inhibitors is probably going to be the play. They'll probably stick around. It is going to be a 4v5, but it depends how safe they want to be. Elder is up in 30 seconds. Got to play low-risk League of Legends, Azael.
Yeah, they're looking for the guarantees.
Check all the boxes.
They don't want the 99%. They want 100. And they are going to be going back to base, spend up all that gold that they just got here, and look to seal the deal at Elder. Sentinels, it's going to be hard to even leave the base to get out and try to contest this, but you really have to take a swing. You've got to take a risk here. Maybe if you take Elder, you have some tiny snowball's chance.
They can't leave the base. There's teleport up for Dokla, level 20 Ambessa will kill their Nexus if they leave. or they'll just kill all the players right here.
Find him. There goes Inspired. Flash unstoppable force. The curtain call coming out once again. Sentinels on the run here. Will survive for now. But again, it's the base of the problem. You called it out. Double supers in every lane. Darkwing's trying to clear this out, but Sane is going to be going for it, looking for it. The fade is sealed as Sentinels are no more. Sane flashing in onto him.
Komisch, ne? Wieder so 40 Minuten Game hierfür. So komisch.
Takes a massive shot to the face from Berserker. Impact is down, the root is there. Darkwings is back, but not for long. Berserker survives, and Rahel does not. LYON marching on the Nexus.
5 for 0, 2-0 for LYON. Another gem by Inspired
GG.
and the squad. LYON is 1 game away.